friends, welcome back to my channel. I am starting this video on a Sunday, which is uncommon for me. I tend to not start until like Monday or further into the week, but I've just not been feeling my best, and I wanted to start the vlog and kind of talk a little bit about it. First off, one of the dilemmas that I talked about in my last video was that I didn't quite know my filming schedule. Settled on doing 2 videos every other week. So this week will only be 1 video. You'll have already found that out by the time you're watching this video, but I feel confident with that decision. I think an extra video every other week is good. It allows me to plan just a smidge while not keeping myself on a strict schedule that's just gonna like ruin everything for myself. So I feel confident in that. However, I am feeling just deeply insecure about myself today. I started the day off well. I was editing, I got my video up, you guys are loving the video, and I spent the day playing Lorcana and watching a Lorcana event. And then I got some new clothes. And trying them on just put me in not a very good place. I would say at this point have a like neutral feeling about my body in general. There are days where I don't feel great, but in general, I kind of just exist. I think that's a common thing for autistic people, living very like above the neck, just like all head, and that's kind of how I am. I'm very much in my head, and my body is just like attached to my head, and I don't tend to think about it. But when I am feeling bad about myself, it's very consuming, and like looking at myself in my new clothes, I just didn't feel good, and it sort of infected my entire day, and I just don't feel myself, as kind of my mantra for life in general. But particularly right now when I'm feeling like this, I am really going to be focusing on doing the things that make me really happy. So I'm going to be reading fantasy romance. I have been in the mood for a good fantasy romance. These books are just not cutting it that I've been reading recently. So we're going to get on KU, look at my library, and pick out some good reads. Romance always makes me feel good about myself. It makes me feel fun and flirty and sexy, and it reminds me the beauty of being a woman and the beauty of love and romance and all of that. So romance just makes me feel good, and I want to indulge in that. So that's probably going to be what the majority of this video is me reading. I do want to set up a reading journal. I have a Hobonichi that I was using at the beginning of the year, but I really do a lot of my planning digitally on Notion, and so I don't want to waste the Hobonichi. So I'm thinking of turning it into a reading journal. I don't quite have everything planned out, but I think we're going to do that in this video. Finally replaced the cartridges in my printer so I can print things again. That's the plan for the week. Focus on reading, indulge in my special interest, and just make myself feel better. I hope you guys enjoy the video. We probably won't talk for the rest of today, but I do plan on picking up something depending on when this Lorcana event ends. We'll see, but we'll definitely talk tomorrow about what I'm currently reading and all that stuff. I just need to kind of recuperate the rest of the day, I think. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and if you are feeling down about yourself, I hope this brings a modicum of comfort. I hope you are able to find comfort in some part of your life, and yeah. Happy Monday, friends. I am feeling a lot better today. I'm going into today pretty optimistic, but I thought we could talk about what I have been reading. So first up, this morning I started the audiobook for The Buried and the Bound. This is a YA fantasy. It seems to be like an urban fantasy. There's two worlds, our world and Elfheim, Fairyland, and there's like an in-between pocket where it seems like darkness and evil beings live. We have three main characters. We have Tristan, Leo, and Aziza. Aziza is a head witch who spends her time returning shadows that have slipped between this pocket of darkness into the real world, or from Elfheim to the real world. And we don't know the extent of her abilities yet. I'm only 11% of the way through, but she had a run-in with some dread wolves or some hounds or something along those lines. We have Leo, who is a boy that goes to school with her, and he seeks her out because he's cursed. He thinks to lose the memories of his true love, and he wants her help figuring out what happened and breaking the curse. And then we also have Tristan, who is bound to a hag, and the hag punishes him and controls him and turned him into a hound, and like the alpha hound, so he is responsible for the hounds, and like the hounds eat people and they take people's energy, and then that flows through him to the hag, and so she's like kind of bad, not the best, a little bit murderous, and yeah, so he's bound to her. We have already seen a little bit of an intersection because he's part of the hounds that attacked the fair that the other two main characters were at, but they didn't really talk. So I'm listening to that audiobook. It's good so far. And then I'm also reading the second book in the Crescent City series. My stepsister is reading them for the first time. I am rereading them with her. I am very excited to get to the third book. It's been a while since it came out, and I'm finally ready to read it. I love the second book. It's my favorite in the series. I know the series is not everybody's favorite, and the second book in particular isn't everybody's favorite, but I personally love it. Urban fantasy murder mystery situation that I really enjoy. Started Lady of Darkness or something along those lines. This, and I say this, I don't like comparing popular books to other books. I don't like when people are like, oh, if you like Avatar, read this, or like, if you like Fourth Wing, read this, because I feel like it sets up expectations and doesn't allow the reader to recognize the story that they're reading for its own merits. But legitimately, this is like a Throne of Glass fan fiction. The main character is an assassin. There is an assassin lord. One of the main characters' name is Cassius, which obviously I know is from Akatar, but she has the exact same personality. They use vulgar gestures. I'm not very far in, but it seems not super original, which is fine. If you use other literature, write your own, that's not new. I'm sure a lot of people copied, the forefathers of epic fantasy. So, it is what it is. But she's basically an assassin. She has been living as a lady and in this guy's house, and now in the beginning of the book, her family was murdered. Prior to the events of the book, her family was murdered, and she survived. Or her mother was murdered. I don't know about her father, but her mother was murdered, and she was taken in by, the Assassin's Guild. She gets notified at the beginning by a woman that the Assassin Lord knows the identity of the person that hired the person that killed her mother, and he'll tell her if she does, this one last job. Very much like Assassin's Blade, so it's not bad. I'm not disliking it. I don't know how much of it I'll actually read, but I haven't gotten too much into the story, so we'll see. But those are the things that I'm reading. I'm gonna go into work. I'm wearing a lovely dress. We'll have a moment for the dress in a second. I'm feeling good. Wednesday, friends. I have been kind of busy the past couple of days, so I haven't really done a lot of reading or vlogging, obviously. I have been reading a tiny bit, but we had some side business stuff to do. We did Lorcana last night, so we've just been a tad bit busy. But I am now 125 pages into House of Earth and Blood. Liking it. It's a good second book. Strong opening, so I'm enjoying it. And then I did end up deciding to DNF Lady in Darkness, A Lady in Darkness, Lady whatever, the assassin book. It just wasn't like keeping my interest. I'm not here to read very typical books. I want something at least a little bit different, so we DNF'd that. I also DNF'd The Bound and the Buried for kind of the same reason. Not the best. Neither is this setup. That's not the best either, but we're gonna go with it. So I decided to pick up Curse of the Thorn King. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I don't love, but it's written by the same author that wrote A Court of Blood and Binding, which I really loved, and I'm really liking this so far. It starts in kind of an atypical way. The heroine, I'm 10% in, the heroine is recruited to kill the Fae King, and she is set to be executed for a crime, and so they tell her that if she kills the Fae King, they won't kill her. And she shows up to the castle, and the castle seems to be abandoned, and there's like roses everywhere. There's no guards, there's nobody around except a mirror, a talking mirror. She goes up to the mirror and it says that the master is in music room. She finds the music room and the Fae King is in there by himself, and half of his face is like decayed down to the bone, and then the other half is of course like super gorgeous. And they've just had their first conversation, and he's revealed to her like why she's there and stuff like that. He forces her to tell the truth by using powers, and she says like, I'll tell you the truth, just stop using your powers on me, and he refuses. And it's good. I'm really liking it. The writing is gorgeous, beautiful. Love the description of the castle and stuff. It's pretty short. It's only 270 pages, so I'm hoping to finish that today. I do have some stuff going on at work, and then when I get home I need to do some cleaning, but I should have a ton more time to read today, tomorrow, the rest of the week, because I don't really have a lot going on aside from therapy. So that's that. I have been struggling a little bit, to be honest. I am still not feeling my best, and I'm struggling, yeah. So I need to consider what to do about that. I need to think about what I need to do to make myself feel better, just like in the long run, not just like reading some books, but actually like making myself feel better. So we'll see. That's the update. I'm reading a little bit, haven't read a ton, haven't read as much as I want, and I am not feeling my best. I do have a ton of audiobooks checked out from my library, like a ton that I want to get to. Most of them are fantasies, some are like romance, some are like a memoir. We'll see how I'm feeling, but that's the update. So I'm gonna go to work now and try to sneak some reading in between work. So hi friends, happy Thursday. I'm gonna be real honest with you and say that I'm not doing particularly well mentally. I had a 1.5 month long period, which was normal given that I changed out my birth control and the birth control that I use. It's quite normal to have really long periods after insertion. However, I thought that, good gravy, I cannot, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We're just gonna have to be sideways. I thought that that meant that I wouldn't have a period for a while. and that doesn't seem to be the case. I seem to be going through PMDD episode, and this one is worse than I've had in a while. I have gotten kind of used to the rhythms of the episodes, and I kind of know what to expect, but this one is different than what I've had the past couple of months, the past half of a year, and yeah, I'm just really struggling. And I had a therapy appointment today, and it was just heavy. A lot of stuff came up, and so I just want to curl I want to curl up and read my book and not think for a while. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. It's almost 3 now. I'm gonna eat some lunch, and then I'm gonna get in bed. I'm already in bed, but I'm gonna curl up with my stuffed animals, and I'm gonna watch something and read, and that's probably how I'm gonna spend the rest of my day, and hope that tomorrow I wake up and I feel better. And if I don't, then tomorrow's gonna be much the same. Saturday I do have a date night with my partner to look forward to, but other than that, I don't really have a lot going on. So yeah, I'm just not feeling my best, and I'm trying to like honor that. And yeah, so I'm gonna talk to you guys later probably. I don't really have like reading updates or anything to even give you at the moment because I haven't been reading. I just don't have really that many updates, so we'll probably talk tomorrow if I had to guess, hopefully, and hopefully my mood is improved. So I am so sorry for the sideways clip.
There are the large black line kind of intersects with a lot of them, with the words in them. It's just a number of half-assed vehicle from an acceleration. It can be a light acceleration to a medium acceleration, a hard acceleration.
Happy Friday, friends. It is Friday evening. I am home for the weekend, and I'm looking forward to doing a ton of reading. Managed to finish Curse of the Thorn King yesterday, I think, and originally I gave it 4 stars. I thought about it a little bit, journaled about it, and I actually bumped it down to a 3. I liked it at the time. I enjoyed reading it. I think it's a good read. The writing is gorgeous, but after like sitting with it for a while, I realized that there really isn't a lot of time spent on the important things in a story, like really fleshing out the characters, the world, understanding the magic, stuff like that. So I ultimately set it on a 3-star. Like I said, the writing is beautiful and the descriptions of the castle and everything are great, but just not enough time with the important parts of the story, in my opinion. And then I ended up picking up a couple of other fantasy romances that I wasn't a big fan of. One of them being like Peaches and Honey, which I heard was like an Addie LaRue story. Not interested in that. I tried some other things and I finally settled on Blood and Steel. This is fairly long. It's over 500 pages. I'm like 17% of the way through, and it's about a girl who lives in a kingdom that doesn't allow women to fight, and they actually can't even like carry around daggers. According to this old prophecy, there is a girl who will wield a dagger and bring darkness, and so her kingdom and like all of the kingdoms surrounding them basically took away women's right to bear arms, and she was only like 7 or something, and so now obviously some years later she's in her 20s, but she's always wanted to be a sword swinger or some shit like that, sword wielder, war sword, something along those lines. They're like elite warriors and they fight the darkness that's coming out of like this shadow realm situation. She has a dagger of an old war sword guy, and he was fallen in battle and he gave her his dagger, and the dagger gets discovered on her and she has to go in front of this council of other kingdom members to determine if she is going to get in trouble for having the dagger or if she should join the war sword training. And there is the hero who is kind of charged with taking her from their kingdom to where the council is. I'm liking it okay. It's a little bit surface level. I will say I'm not a big fan of the hero. I don't like stories where the hero has to be convinced that women deserve rights. Not my favorite. And so I'm reserving judgment in that end because I didn't see a lot in the reviews about it, but it doesn't seem like he really is on board with her being a woman and being able to fight. So we'll see how that progresses. I probably won't finish that in this vlog just because it is quite long, and I am a little bit smidgen busy this weekend, so I don't know if I'm gonna have time, but I definitely want to get 50% of the way through. And then I also want to get 50% of the way through One Dark Window. This is a historical romance fantasy, and it seems to be about a girl who was cursed with a plague. This plague leaves people with magical powers. However, they also go mad as time progresses, but she doesn't seem to have any powers or be suffering in any way from it. She did touch a magical like tarot card when she was a child and caused her to become possessed by this creature called the Nightmare that can communicate with her, and she can lean on its powers. I don't really know a ton about it. I'm not very far in, but I am enjoying it. It took me a little bit longer to get into than some of the other books that I've read just because the writing is quite different. It's a little bit more sophisticated and a wee bit overwritten in my opinion, but I am liking it. So I want to get 50% of the way through. I think there's a romance between her and the Nightmare, and there's been an allusion to possibly like a reincarnated fated situation. So I am cautiously optimistic about this story. I know a lot of people like it. I know a lot of people don't like it. There seems to be very mixed reviews, but it's very popular. So I am going to try to get 50% of the way through that as well. And then lastly, I am still currently reading House of Sky and Breath. Honestly, I've been reading this a lot more than the other books just because it is such a comfort story for me. I am 154 pages in and I am really, really liking this. I know it's not everybody's favorite from Sarah J. Maas, or just a lot of people don't like it in general, but it's really comforting to be in this like urban fantasy world. It has a lot of cool creatures and it's a nice story. And I like the murder mystery, I like the found family. I am used to the story, I'm used to the beats of the story, I know where it's going, and so there's a lot of comfort in familiarity. And so chances are, between watching the part 2 of Bridgerton and reading this, that's probably what I'm gonna do for the rest of the evening. But I would like to get through 50% of all of these so that I can give you opinions to wrap up the vlog. I was hoping to finish all of my currently reading books, but I just don't see that happening. We're gonna try, but it seems a little unrealistic at this point. So that's my reading update. I'm going to finish watching the YouTube video that I'm currently watching, get in some reading, and then we're gonna settle in and watch some Bridgerton. So we'll talk later. Happy Sunday, friends. It is time to wrap up the vlog, but first let's talk about all the things that I have been reading and watching and all of that. So first, I finished the newest season of Bridgerton, the part 2 that just came out a couple days ago, and this is by far the best season Bridgerton has had. They just consistently get better and better, so I'm so excited for the next season. I did have some complaints about characters in this season, and they are the same complaints that happened with the book. So I am not mad that they followed the books per se, but I wish they had done things a little bit different. Mainly just Colin, like that's just my biggest complaint is Colin. I think I'm gonna rewatch the whole season like straight now that all of the part is out so that I can like get the full experience. But Penelope's speech at the end at the ball, without spoiling, just like made me cry. Loved it. Loved the season. So good. I'm excited for the next season whenever we get that. And then we also, my partner and I, watched The Strangers chapter 1 yesterday. So for reference, The Strangers is my favorite, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. The first time I watched it, I was like a teenager, preteen, and it scared the living shit out of me. One of the scariest movies that I ever watched, and I have watched it like close to 20 times, and it still scares me to this day. I still get chills. And then a couple of years ago, I think in like 2013 or something like that, they came out with the second one. That one was not good. And so when we were planning our little date night, I saw that this one was out in theaters. I was excited because the premise of the story is basically a couple in a remote cabin getting stalked and hunted by 3 people in masks. And there is a lot of nods to the original movie in this, which I really love. Like I said, the original movie is one of my favorites, and every single time they would like have a scene very similar to the first one, like it would make me really excited. Overall, the movie was not good. Not good at all. I very rarely agree with the Rotten Tomatoes percentage. Generally, if something is bad, I enjoy it, and vice versa. If something is really highly rated, I tend not to like it. And in this case, I disagree with how high the Rotten Tomatoes score is. I tend to be pretty nice about movies and TV shows. I tend to give them the benefit of the doubt and try to find the good spots, and aside from the nods to the original, like there really wasn't anything good to say about it, unfortunately. I don't think that I will be watching chapter 2. I don't like what they're doing with this trilogy. I don't like the premise. I think it leans more into like the Halloween, Scream franchise storylines and less into what I feel like the franchise is supposed to be, like what the intention behind the franchise is or what it represents. I don't know. I don't like it, and I probably won't see it. I definitely won't pay to see it, and I probably just won't see it in general, but we'll see. I could change my mind, but yeah, not good. Not good at all. But I have been reading a little bit. I decided to DNF Blood and Steel. Overly long and wasn't capturing my attention. And then I read a little bit more of One Dark Window. I do like this one. I didn't read too much. I definitely didn't get to the 50% mark of any of the books, but I think I got to like the 30% mark of this one, and I'm liking it. It's not the most interesting thus far. It hasn't gripped me a ton, but it's enough to keep reading. And then I read maybe 20 to 30 more pages of Crescent City. So, not the most successful reading week. I think all of the books that I finished were DNFs, aside from Curse of the Thorn King, which is fine. I'm glad that I spent the week reading, but not the best. I do think I'm gonna challenge myself in one of next week's videos, so we'll see how that goes. But I really hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed talking about books. I very rarely ever just talk about books. Most of my videos do have reading in them, but I am usually talking about other things, and this one was very book heavy, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. My videos tend to focus on cozy, slow living and making sure that we're resting, talking about mental health, all of that kind of stuff, indulging in our hobbies. All of my socials are linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.